Okay, so my earlier video today, I was talking about this guy. What's his name again? Geoff Freeman. And he was basically telling the Australians that everything is fine and you should come visit. And that everything you hear in the news is overblown. And that the United States is a friendly country to visit. He even said this in the article. Travelers should understand what documentation they need, what inspection procedures may involve, and what their obligations are if questioned by border officials. Clear, consistent communication is essential to making visitors feel prepared, not intimidated. Well, let me ask a question. Is being asked questions like, do you not have friends? Or statements like, don't play with me, I can take your visa right now. Is this not intimidation? I found these quotes from an article that I found from the r-tourism hell subreddit. It's a great resource for all things tourism. And the person that runs it, Disrupt SQ, he has helped to repost some of my videos, so I really appreciate it. But the article I want to talk about is from thetravel.com, and it's titled, U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agent Leaves Canadians in Tears Following Personal Attack for Frequent Visits to New York City. Now, I know what everybody's going to think. Why the hell is she going to the United States? Well, the backstory? She went to the United States to visit her Canadian boyfriend who lives down there for work. So I'm going to talk about this article in this video, but before I start, I just want to give a bit of an update from the video interview that I did with Evan from TriArt Manufacturing. And I've been in contact with him almost every day. I mean, we just email back and forth. And he said the support from the community has been overwhelming. He even mentioned that some of the GTL community has called in, and he's had great conversations with many of you. But not only just from Canada, there's been support from Europe as well as Australia as well. I have made it clear that I didn't want to accept Evan's money for a sponsorship. I just really wanted to help. But I did tell him as well, if you need to put that marketing budget somewhere, then I would request that you make a donation to the Vancouver SPCA, because it would mean a lot to my wife and I, and in a sense, it keeps me connected to home. So Evan has informed me that TriArt Manufacturing has made a hefty donation to the Vancouver SPCA, $1,056 to be exact. And this couldn't have happened without the support of the GTL community. So I want to thank everybody for helping to support a Canadian business. And to Evan and TriArt Manufacturing, I really appreciate you helping to donate to an organization that means a lot to my wife and I. And for those that are still looking for paint and art supplies, you can go to try-art.ca and use the GTL promo code GTL25 to get 25% off. Alright, let's get started on this article, and it's titled, U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agent Leaves Canadian in Tears Following Personal Attack for Frequent Visits to New York City. As always, I'll read it out for those that are just listening or for the visually impaired. A Canadian traveling from Toronto to New York City was in tears before boarding a flight following an exchange with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent. The traveler was questioned about frequent visits as an exchange became personal when the agent asked about the Canadian's lifestyle, including their hobbies and friends, or lack thereof. The incident highlights growing concerns about negative exchanges with CBP agents, including random checkpoints at U.S. land borders, and warnings about electronic device checks. Additionally, frequent visits have been flagged more often since the new administration took over. Now, this is the part that Geoff Freeman forgets to mention in the previous video I talked about. He claims that 99.9% of visitors do get into the United States, which I'm not sure if I believe that number. But anyways, out of all the international tourists that went to the United States, how many of them were treated like shit by CBP? How many of them were asked personal questions, inappropriate questions, or just bullied and threatened? As someone who crossed the Peace Arch on a frequent basis with a Nexus card, I've had my fair share of attitude when it comes to CBP. Now, not all of them. I mean, some of them are actually really nice. I mean, I remember one agent that used to always recognize me when I'm picking up packages. When I pull up to the checkpoint, they'd be like, what did you buy now? And if there was no one behind me, we'd actually have a bit of a conversation. But like I said, that was rare. But most of the time, it was a bit of a sense of nervousness, which I don't get when I'm visiting other countries. And I imagine it's a lot worse now since CBP has a free pass to act like assholes. But back to Geoff Freeman's quote, saying that 99.9% of international travelers were admitted. I do wonder how many people were unnecessarily pulled into secondary for no reason, and then let into the United States. I mean, those would count as admitted, but also a horrible experience. Anyways, let's move on. Next section is titled, A Canadian Traveler was met with rude questioning by a CBP agent due to frequent U.S. visits. The incident in question took place on May 29th at Toronto Pearson Airport. According to the unnamed traveler on Reddit, visits to New York City to see a Canadian boyfriend have been frequent but spaced out. However, the most recent flight took a turn during questioning by a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent. The CBP agent was allegedly extremely rude, mean, and unprofessional. The traveler reflected on the events. I'm currently waiting to board my plane after maybe 10 minutes of crying. My boyfriend and I currently long distance. We're both Canadian, but he's currently working in the U.S. for the last year or so since we've been long distance. When I got to the U.S. Border Control agent at Pearson, she was extremely rude, mean, and unprofessional. She asked me why I was going to New York City, and I said just to visit my boyfriend. She repeated the same question again, and I was confused. I just said I was going to visit. Her tone was very aggressive and accusatory. Then she started saying things like, "Do you not have friends?" Now, a question like this would make anybody kind of raise an eyebrow. I mean, why do they need to know if you have friends or not? But the question itself really isn't the issue. It's more of CBP having the ability to ask any ridiculous question they want, and the power tripping that comes with it. Moving on. The CBP agent allegedly also asked the traveler about her hobbies, and whether her boyfriend was sick of the constant visits. Like, what kind of question is that? The border agent also persisted in telling the Canadian that she was just there. The traveler added, and she would repeat these statements multiple times. She kept repeating, "You were just there," as if I came back 2 days ago as opposed to 2 weeks ago. And when I said it's been 2 weeks, she said, "Don't play with me. I can take your visa right now." The Canadian's lasting impression of the exchange was unpleasant, especially since recent trips to the US were spaced out. Now, that statement alone, "Don't play with me. I can take your visa right now," when someone was trying to explain that they were there 2 weeks ago, not 2 days ago. That's power tripping right there, if you ask me. Now, over the past 13 months since I started my channel, many in the GTL community have actually emailed me and told me their experiences at the border, both land and air. Some of the responses that come to mind: people were pulled into secondary. And the agents, they specifically said they're going to make sure that they don't make their flight. Or at land crossings, pulled in, and basically told they were denied entry without a reason why. And if they continue, they'll be arrested. Or they can withdraw and be banned for 5 years. He was pulled into secondary and saw another family in distress because they were denied entry. And it seems like the CBP agents were actually having fun with it. These are your fellow viewers that are watching right now with these stories. And for confidentiality reasons, but also for their own safety, they've chosen not to share their story. And I can totally understand why and totally respect that as well. But I'm putting it out there for the community right now. If anybody has had an incident at the border, whether pre-clearance or land, and you want to share your story and jump on a call with me, send me an email and we'll jump on a call together and share your story with the community. The next section is titled, "The Canadian Traveler Says She Never Intended on Overstaying in the US." The Canadian added that recent trips were spaced out and that she had a full-time job. There was never any intent on overstaying. Other than my 2 visits 2 weeks ago, other trips were very spaced out. I have a full-time job, and I understand the job of the agent is to ensure I don't overstay in the US, but I just could not believe that she was so rude. The visit to the United States took a turn for the worse, as a more polite approach might have helped discourage further visits to New York City. US Customs and Border Protection has not issued a statement regarding this incident, while Affairs Canada has warned travelers of increased scrutiny at the border. Now, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that... Co-host is back. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. Alright. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that the CBP agent was so rude. I mean, this is not breaking news. I mean, we all remember that CBP agent that was driving and basically told the Canadians never to come to the United States. If you haven't seen that video yet, let me replay for everyone. Now, this happened last year, I think around September, October area. And the first question I have, if he's this mad when he's on the road and not on the job, then what's he like when he's talking to Canadians crossing the border? I mean, for somebody who's so angry and in a position to be able to allow or disallow people into the country, I'm going to guess it's not going to be a pleasant experience with him. Now think about how many other border agents across the entire border are like this guy here. Moving on. In an update last year, Global Affairs Canada altered its entry and exit requirements section for travel to the United States. The advisory added that the border agents have discretion to enforce entry requirements, while scrutiny may take place, including device checks. Individual border agents often have significant discretion in making the determinations. The U.S. authorities strictly enforces entry requirements. Expect scrutiny at ports of entry, including of electronic devices. Comply and be forthcoming in all interactions with the border authorities. If you are denied entry, you could be detained while awaiting deportation, Global Affairs Canada writes. Sounds welcoming, doesn't it? It also makes clips like these look a little bit more ridiculous.
So as far as any at the border crossing, our message to travelers is, of course, we don't necessarily, as a tourism marketing agency, we don't necessarily have jurisdiction at the border, but we encourage travelers to review the guidelines as to making sure they have all the right documentation and all the proper credentials for any kind of border crossing. But what I can wholeheartedly assure your viewers is that if you come to Rochester, you will be welcomed, you will be safe, and really we miss our Canadian our visitors visitors. And so that was why we wanted to write a love letter saying, we see you, we miss you.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to go through the scrutiny at the border just to spend money in your area. Back to the article. Frequent visits to the United States have been part of the crackdown since the new administration took office. Several people reacted to the recent incident at Pearson Airport, while some had experienced similar treatment. The suggested course of action is always to remain composed. Or just don't go. Now I'm going to read the reactions, and these reactions are not coming from the GTL community, but other Canadians as well. I think they're just trying to get you angry. When you argue backtalk, they can consider you hostile, and have a reason to investigate you more. Best thing is to stay calm, answer the questions with a soft, polite voice, make eye contact while listening and speaking. Act like you're the lesser person. Once you get passed through, you can quietly curse them. I don't know if I would do that, but yeah, I get the point. But one thing this person said, act like you're the lesser person. There's something fundamentally wrong with that statement because it's so true. And it's definitely a power trip thing. I mean, I guess a CBP guard needs to feel powerful, right? The next comment, I had a guy get very upset with me and my wife for some unwritten procedure. The two of us were juggling kids, a green card, an envelope full of passports, you name it. My wife had both Canadian passports and a green card. He, pretended at least, went through the roof because I handed him her paperwork. Technically, it wasn't in her possession, even if she had a baby in arms and was 3 feet away. Get a life and hobbies, dude. And here's the next comment. You have to understand they have all the power and they can be rude without any accountability. Do not take anything they say personally, especially with the hobbies of your personal life. Just worry about what you need to say to keep them calm and yourself across the border. You know, the fact that we have to have these conversations and try to figure out tips and tricks to not piss off the CBP guard, there's something fundamentally wrong with this. So I wanted to remind everybody and show this article to everyone that the border issues, they're still happening. We don't hear about it very much right now. And the reason why is because, well, he's threatening us with 51st state bullshit again. Oil prices are going back up. And there's just like tons of other things to talk about. But the reason why I really wanted to show this is because I don't believe this guy's number, 99.9%. I just, it doesn't sound right to me. But out of all the people that made it into the United States, how were they treated during the process? Out of the quote-unquote 68 million international visitors, how many of them came across a CBP guard that profiled them, asked them stupid questions, personal questions, criticized them, or denied someone entry because they had to go to the bathroom? Yes, that is something that someone emailed me. I think a lot of us internationally just don't want to deal with this. I mean, that 68 million number there, I still don't like it. But it should be saying, yeah, we let in 68 million international visitors, and 20 million of them were treated like shit on the way in. I'm just throwing out a random number. But I think everybody gets a point. It's not really just about making it into the United States. It's how we're treated at the border. And for a lot of us, we just don't want to be treated like shit before we even get into the country. Now, I'm going to throw it out there again. If anybody in the GTL community has a border incident and they're willing to come share it, send me an email and we'll see what we can do to get your story out there. To close off this video, I would like to thank Evan from TriArt Manufacturing for sending this photo of Lemoyne Point in Kingston, Ontario. And once again, Evan, I would like to thank you for your donation to the Vancouver SPCA and also sending over this photo as well. And just one more reminder to the GTL community, the promo code will be active until the end of the month. So check out triart.ca if you're looking for paint supplies. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.